because Grandpa was amazing. He was smart and he was cool. And he worked in the army and he was funny. And that he loves him. Okay. It's Robertson is the last name, is it? Patricia or? Yes. Robinson. Ralph was so wonderful to me and helpful when my husband passed away. So kind, explaining to me about how to operate the guns and clean them. Right on. He also gave me great advice, and he was so kind and caring. I saved mine till the end. And this is from my brother, Paul. Ralph was always there to help anyone who was willing to try. I watched Dad give and assist almost to where it hurt, to aid the kids and grandkids. But you had to hold up your end of the bargain, or it was no. And that is true. This is from Randy. Yep. I met Ralph in late 1993 at Motorola. I had just landed. Thank you. I was going to say I had just landed a job and I would be moving to Austin. And Ralph made me feel like he had been my friend for years. God had a way of doing that. He always made you feel like you were the only person in the world. He was talking. I learned a lot from him, and he's an American hero. And I'm proud to have known him. Let me see. This is from Young. We're friends with the Vitolas and their family because my father worked with Ralph, and he was a wonderful man as well. And worked with Ralph and Karen at Motorola. His name was Arlen. Arlen considered Ralph his best friend, and I grew up from a small girl enjoying many wonderful meals together. When my dad passed away 15 years ago, Ralph and Karen helped us grieve and grow. Ralph loved his family and was so proud of his children and grandchildren. And we're so glad to have known Ralph, a man who led a colorful life and was passionate and patriotic. I hope he and my dad are reunited wherever they may be. And laughing and clowning around together. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, so I think I'm down to mine. And I'm going to try to be funny, but I'm not a supernaturally funny person. My family knows this about me. I'm always the serious one. But I have to start out with something that Dad is just hilarious. He's like one of the funniest people I've ever known. And I have so many memorable, colorful things that he said, and he said frequently, so I'm going to use some language. So I'm going to call this Shit My Dad Says. So this would go back to the first one is a trip that they took. The family came out to California, and I apologize, we live in California, and I know that our politics stink. But we do not partake in that. But Dad was out visiting, and we were out at a restaurant, and we were eating, sitting on like a rooftop kind of situation, lots of people around in earshot. And we were having Mexican food. It was near the beach. We thought we were all having a good Dad's looking a little displeased over there. You know, he's on the other side of the table, and suddenly, out loud, he says, as the waiter passes by, "I spit on California Mexican food." We're all sitting there like, followed up with, "I could shit a better burrito." It was priceless. I mean, none of us knew what to do with ourselves. Oh my God, it was hilarious. Another one I would have to say, this was the second-hand one, but is a ongoing joke in our family now. Dad was visiting, and Dan, you may know this, I don't know, he was visiting with family out of state, and someone suggested that evening they should eat dinner out at Cracker Barrel. Well, apparently,
Cracker Barrel.
yes. Apparently Dad has an issue with Cracker Barrel none of us were aware of. So Dad's reply was, "I'm not eating a fucking Cracker Barrel." So this is like a regular phrase, and we quote these amongst Ethan and Ryan and I all the freaking time. But my favorite thing that Dad and I talked a lot. Carrie said a lot of great things about how Dad was with us. Dad made me feel always that I could be more. And I have done more because of the expectations and his belief in me. But when we talked a lot about different things, oftentimes I'm a thinker. I'm that person who will dive deep and analyze stuff to death. Analysis paralysis is like my middle name. And I'm going in deep on all these topics and talking to Dad. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And he would always end up with telling me, "Tanya, you think too much. You just need to lighten up, honey, and just live." He was always funny, always there for us. And he did some amazing things that all of us have reflected on different times that Dad stepped forward and done things that just floor you. That he would do these things without even thinking about it, and they're very generous things. When I met Dad, Ryan and I had just met, and we wanted to get married, and things. Mom, has done a great job. We're single parent, 3 kids. Mom and Dad had just started dating, and Ryan and I said, we want to get married. We think we're going to go to Vegas and get married. We just want to get married. I was in the military as well. I was getting ready to be stationed overseas. Mm-hmm. And we were happy with that. We were just going to go to Vegas. We're good to go. And Dad stepped forward. He's like, no, we're going to have a wedding. We're going to have a wedding. Here's a man who steps up and does this for me and Ryan because he loved my mother. It's such a generous act. It's just beyond words, almost. But he was just always there for me and my son. Ethan is very close to his grandfather, and they had their own separate relationship off on their own with the text messages, similar to what everybody has talked about. So yeah, all this day in history, anyone?
Oh yes, that was us too.
I love those. I look forward to them every day. He wanted to make sure we all knew about history because he very much believed that you should know your history. But in a nutshell, basically, Dad was just an outstanding individual. Raised so many kids that were not his own. Taught us a lot of things. Loved our children. Loved our mother. And may his soul rest in peace. Beautiful person.